All right, we're live on Hangouts. We're just waiting for the YouTube to do its thing. There we go. Let's see. Let me make sure I got it switched off there. Yeah, I do. Okay. Normally I get feedback. Here we go. Welcome from behind enemy lines to Rick's Life as I See It, a 1-hour talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. And or answer questions from the listener. You can either put them in the chat or send me an email at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Also, if you have to leave early or for future or back episodes, every one of my, I think every one of them is on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes for your listening pleasure. I normally get them on there within 24 hours of the show ended. I also have a Patreon page. I've got a Facebook page. All this stuff is below in the thing there. Also, right now, I'm running a GoFundMe page. The links, I don't know if I got the link on YouTube yet, but it's on Gun Channels. I will get it on YouTube. A GoFundMe, move to a free state. Everybody knows I'm moving, and I'm just looking for support if everybody can, because as everybody knows, I'm on a limited income, being on Social Security disability. I mean, I've got it. It would be nice to have a little cushion. Is basically what I'm looking for. I got enough, I think, but I was hoping to be in Indiana October 1st, but I might have to hold it back a week or two, and that's where the GoFundMe comes in. If I can get enough to help me, I can be there by October 1st. If that makes sense. I don't know if that sounds like begging. I hope it's not, but that isn't what it's meant for. Hey, Michael. Hey, Gunpowder Beauty. So there we go. I got some people on the panel. I've got Patriot in the dark. How you doing, Patriot?
Hello, how you doing? Thank you.
Yeah. And I got the John Z Project.
Howdy from behind enemy lines.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
I won't be able to say that much more. Only
I'll have to see
4 weeks or so I'll be able to say it.
I have to pay you for the copyright.
Yeah. Then I got Clover Tech. How you doing, Clover?
Hi, Rick. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. I'm glad you come in. I got a couple of more invites out there. Whether they show up or not, I don't know. But anyway, I'll wait for a few more people to. I'm on Gun Channels and YouTube all at the same time. Oh, let me bring up my little chat box because that one works faster. If anybody doesn't know that, if you're using Gun Channels, if you're on the actual, like on my actual page or in the chat, you have to keep refreshing to see if anybody talks. But if you click on the chat room little button in the right-hand corner, bring that one up, that one's instant. So if somebody's in your room and they're typing, that will show up there automatically first. So I hope people understood what I was saying there. But makes sense. Anyway, I'll give the answer to my mail-in question last week for the prize in a little while when a couple more people show up. And I said that was going to be the last one until I get to Indiana. But I did find it had fallen out the box and it dropped down behind my books. I've got it's not the best in the world, but it'll work. I got an Ozark Trail camo clip knife. And that's going to be the mail-in prize at the end of the show on that one. So, there we go. Oh, John Z's on YouTube, too. So. Oh, well, who we got there? Blind Shooter.
Declan?
How you doing? I'm looking in the chat there. So. All right, people are starting to show up. Anyway, first on my topic list here, I don't remember now, normally a lot of this stuff is I just sort of throw out the headlines and what little bit I understand about it. But if you want in-depth information, you got to search up the article yourself. And with Google, it's real easy. Just type in what I've said and it will pop up. But the first thing I said, there's I think it's kind of stupid, but I noticed that there was a couple of articles towards the beginning of the week. I haven't seen many towards the end here, where kids, these are our future leaders. There's a new thing going around called the Fire Challenge. It's where you pour, rubbing alcohol on you and set it alight. I think the object of it is hoping it will burn off before it burns your skin. You know what I'm saying? But the two people have done it so far in the news, and that hasn't happened. They landed up in hospital with 45% burns all over their body. So, that's the kind of crazy stuff the youth are doing today. I don't remember doing crazy stuff like that when I was a kid.
This is what happens when you take science out of the school system and you don't teach kids any medical training about first, second, and third degree burns. And everybody gets a trophy. So hopefully more people don't follow this. Hopefully kids are smarter. Hopefully parents catch their kids before they think, oh, this is cool. Let me try to kill myself with fire.
Yeah.
And, just education. That's all it takes.
You're right. Maybe because I'm older, I think differently. Well, the kind of crazy stuff, the only kind of crazy stuff I used to do, well, I say it's crazy. Thinking about it now, I know I got my butt whipped by my father with a belt. I remember BB guns. My friends and I would be shooting at each other with them. I was standing behind the screen door in the kitchen. I remember plainly shooting at my friend who was standing behind the tree, and all these BBs were putting little tiny holes in the screen. Now, I didn't get in trouble for shooting the BB gun. I got in trouble for all the holes in the screen. But I could have poked my eye out, but I didn't, is that the same thing as setting yourself alight? I don't think it is, in my opinion.
I think so. I think a lot of the stupid things I did when I was a kid was the same thing. I think there's a couple things we have to look at here. I think, first of all, I think we have to be really careful about taking a small section of people, be it adults or kids or whoever, and then generalizing that the whole generation is ignorant or stupid or buffoons or whatever the case may be. Because whether you go back through that Tide Pod thing or this fire thing or whatever it might be, you look at the actual incidents that were tracked, and you're talking about percentages of 1%, fractions of 1%, right? So very, very small portion there. It's not indicative of even a minority of the youth out there. So it's outliers. And then when we look back at some, and I'm not going to get into some of the stupid stuff I've done, but when you get back to yourself looking, well, I was a kid and we did this and we did that. Well, there's a couple of factors that come into play nowadays that we didn't have back then. We couldn't do a video and put it on YouTube and then somebody else do it and somebody else do it and somebody else do it, right? So you do have that I agree will increase the numbers. But I think what we've got to do is we need to harp on the people that are not necessarily for kids doing stupid things, but filming it and putting it on the internet is the biggest problem.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, you're right. As I was talking about my BB episode, I was thinking, well, maybe if I was doing that in today's age, I'll be filming myself doing it.
Yeah, it'd be the BB gun challenge, right?
Yeah,
you would start the BB gun challenge. So it's not necessarily what's being done or that it's out of control and every kid is doing it. It's that it can be filmed with a camera, put on the internet, 10 other people do it, over the course of the next week, and then, oh my God, all of a sudden it's an epidemic. No, it's not really. It's just idiots need to quit putting this stuff on the internet.
Yes, you're right. You're right. As I was talking, that's what I was thinking. There I was, doing exactly what you're doing, thinking, categorizing all of them in the same bowl,
Doing stupid things is doing stupid things.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically it's almost it's basically the same as like you're tarring somebody with the same brush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like if somebody's a Muslim, most people automatically tar them as terrorists.
Yeah.
It's only a small percentage of them who actually are the terrorists.
Yeah, and the same way when we talk about anti-gunners, or we talk about Antifa, or we talk about the hard left, or even when they talk about the hard right or the alt right and all this other stuff, you're talking very small percentages of people.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Anything to say on that, Patriot?
What can you say? No, it's definitely promoting, when they put it out there, it's promoting and it's making it, trying to be famous or something. It's just, some people are just dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't think it's, an epidemic or something like that. But it's definitely, some people that aren't too smart.
Yeah, you're right there.
But it comes back down to what Clover Tech said is, thank God it's not an epidemic. It's not everyone. But those people that are doing it obviously should not be televised or publicized for other people to get ideas that's out there. But they definitely need more education.
Well, and let me go down this road. Kingpin out there, he makes a good point. He says that people don't really consider that once it's on the internet, it's there. People post things that they shouldn't, and then later on they'll regret. Well, getting, not to deviate off a topic, but I think it's a similar deal when we're talking about, the overall idea of things going on the internet that shouldn't. Look at how you can tweet something, or somebody, an actor or a politician or whatever it might be, right? They tweet something or put it on their Facebook or something like that, and then 5 years later, 10 years later, somebody finds that, and all of a sudden it's this big, huge ordeal, and it's something that they did a long time ago. It's taken out of context. I mean, who even remembers the context a lot of times of their conversation, 5 years ago with somebody, right?
Oh yeah.
They could have been being sarcastic. They could have been just being funny within the context of the conversation. I mean, who knows at that point, because it's so old that it's hard to put that context into perspective. So we're doing it's a similar thing, that when you put something out there, you don't know. And that's why, I say, it's one of them things to where, it takes no time for you to have a thought and then type it out on a keyboard or flip on the camera and do something. And everybody, I think, out there, regardless of if you're just the average Joe, or even if it extends to those of us that get on platforms and make videos and other things, I think you need to stop and take a breath and take a minute and say, is this really worthy of being out there forever? Right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's it. Once it goes out there, it's out there. No matter, I mean, there's stuff I put on the, it's out there. I mean, it's the same with,
right.
Like when you do texting.
Yeah.
I mean, the phone company can pull every text you've ever written.
Yeah. And it can be, and the internet can be, and the internet, let me play the devil's advocate and go the pro route with that idea too, because the internet can actually be sort of a liberating thing too, in a sense that what in the world is going on with the Twilight Zone music. Anyway, because everybody is subject to changing their opinion, having a change of heart, changing their beliefs, right? So if you've been putting stuff out on the internet, then it's going to kind of track that progress. And then should somebody come back and say something, then you'll be able to go, no, I had a transformation or I had a change of beliefs. If you'll see, 4 years ago I was talking about this. 2 years ago, here I was talking about this, and now today, here's my stance. That's the progression that I went through over the last 4 years. So, I mean, in a way, it can be of a benefit, but it has to be used like anything else. It has, whether you're talking about, alcohol or tobacco or anything else, the internet has to be used appropriately, right, and in moderation.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, that's like that NASCAR or Indy 500 commentator. He said the N word 35 years ago, and in the context he said it, I understood it was a common term used in England and Ireland and stuff.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. I mean, at the time, I guess it wasn't thought of as being bad, but he used it over here in an article that he was talking to somebody 35 years ago, and they brought it up the other day, and he lost his job.
Yeah.
Now his son has lost the sponsorship because he's a racing driver because of what his father said 35 years ago.
Oh, well,
he was a NASCAR driver, and he lost the sponsorship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a professional NASCAR driver, and he lost the sponsorship for something his father said.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm sorry, but the sins of the father don't fall onto the son.
No.
I know, but
you're reading that out of the Bible, and we can't have all that mess. You just get on.
What I'm saying is the actual phrase he said. I mean, a good example in England. I mean, the laws have changed and stuff. The kids, when I was growing up, I'm talking about when I was a child. There used to be a doll, and there was a doll. Plus, it was the trademark of a marmalade.
Right.
Jam. It was called Gollywog.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a black doll. And they were called Gollywogs. That's what the name of the doll was. But of course, over the years, it's become offensive. Yeah. And the name, they've had to change. I don't know what they call it now. They give it a different name now. Because now it's it's a bad word to call them that.
Yeah, and that's the dangerous road that you go down, is that the language, it always gets changed, right, and everything else.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, somebody, we don't necessarily know who, deems that particular word to be racist or derogatory or profane, or whatever, right? And then it's like, oh, you can't say that. Well, who decided that? It's a word, right? I could cuss you like a dog, Rick, without ever uttering one racist, slanderous, whatever, vulgar term, right?
Yeah.
I could disparage you in every way possible, and use appropriate words doing it. So the action of treating somebody like crap, really has nothing to do with the words that you choose to do it with. I don't think. Either your intent is to be mean to that person, whether it be racism or just, white on white, black on black, just being mean to a person. I think it's the intent behind the word a lot of times that matters. And a great example, and it's the way it's received too. And people are really, really soft nowadays. And I'll give you an example. I've got a grandfather. He's pushing 90. He will use the N-word because it's not a big deal. And he grew up, poor, and black folks around, and they worked in the fields and they farmed and everything else. And it didn't offend the black people. He still hang out and whatever with some old black guys and stuff that he's been around for years. And there's no offense. They don't take offense to it. And that's just part of the language that they kind of grew up and used at the time. Right. And, look at rappers, and when you're dealing with Hollywood and stuff like that, inside that particular culture, they can say it and sling it around, even if it's a white rapper, right? You can have a white rapper amongst a bunch of black rappers, and he's okay saying it even. So, we get hung up too much on the word and not the intent, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, we went down a crazy rabbit hole with that subject.
Yeah, Vanessa's joined the chat. So is Gun Style David. I just want to say hi. Patrick is on Gun Channels. And I just want to say hi to everybody that showed up. And Night Strike and David have joined the panel. How you doing, guys?
Shall not be infringed.
All right. So, you got anything to say on that topic, David, before I move on? You got the mute?
I got something.
Oh, you have? Yeah, go on.
With that same thought that Clover was just talking about, try to go to a public school and say firearm. It's not a racist word, but it's one of those words that you can't say anymore.
I will tell you this: firearm is much more appropriate than gun.
Gun, yeah.
I've trained myself, and it has to do because I deal with the public and I deal with Nancy parents and all that. Firearm is a much more technical term. If you can use firearm, use firearm. It's a lot less abrasive.
Yeah,
because it's not your father's shotgun,
right?
Cowboy.
Yeah, it's strange. If you use gun, they sort of freak out. You say, yeah, firearm, it's sort of a smoother word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't get their bristles
smoother, or they don't understand what firearm is, but they know what gun is.
Oh, they know a firearm's a gun.
So would it be any different?
There's a little ignorance if you use firearms.
If you chewed a firearm out of your Pop-Tart? I don't think it would make much difference.
Right.
Yeah.
What if you
probably have other issues?
Well, I mean, essentially all he did was chew an L out of his Pop-Tart, right?
All right. Going down another rabbit hole.
I know.
And I got
get control here, Rick. Get control of your show, man. Come on.
If you live in California, now they're trying. I don't know if they passed. I don't know if the governor's passed it yet, but he wants to ban children from having sugary drinks when they go out on a restaurant. All they can have is milk or water. So now he's telling parents how to feed and take care of their own children.
Okay, I have to say something on this because this is just ridiculous. I mean, the government is there to run the country, okay? Run the country. That doesn't mean control people's lives. That doesn't mean tell you what you can and can't eat, what you can and can't have, and where you can and can't live. That's not the government's job. The government's job is to run the country, make sure we're not at war with another country, and keeps things the same, okay? Now they're trying, California's government is trying to basically remove constitutional rights, institute a police state, and now they're trying to tell the citizens what to fucking do. And I apologize for cursing right there, but that's how it is.
All right.
I thought you were going to stop.
Yes, sir.
All right. You got something to say about that, Patriot?
I was just going to say, I thought for a minute there you were just going to stop after children, that they were just going to ban children, because that's kind of how California's going.
They can't do that. They can't do that. If they ban children, then where would all the money? What would they?
South America.
What would they all fake cry over?
And they're the ones that are running that state anyway. So if you had somebody would be running it.
Yeah, but think about the children. But you banned all the children. What do you fucking care about children for?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what you're going back to, Night Strike, is that is what the Democrats or socialists, or whatever you want to say, that is the way they think. More control is better.
I hate to say this, and yes, it's my opinion, so take this with a grain of salt. But I don't think there are any actual Democrats left in the Democratic Party. It's all socialists, progressives. Not a single one of them is an actual Democrat anymore. It's been skewed to all these, extremist interests instead of the actual wanting to just plain old democracy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just looking at some info on this, Rick. That's Senate Bill 1192. Okay, it hadn't passed yet. Interestingly enough, since back in July, Baltimore passed a similar ordinance where kids' meals, it's the beverage served with a kids' meal, right? Can only be unflavored milk, 100% fruit juice, water, or flavored or sparkling water without added sweeteners. The California bill seems to be similar.
Yeah.
And so it's I get the sentiment of, okay, California's crazy, and I get all this. People get riled up. The problem is, like a lot of legislation, it's absolutely pointless because of the loopholes. This has to do with kids' meals. So you just don't order your kid a kid's meal, or you order your kid a kid's meal and you order them a separate drink. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
It's pointless. It's a pointless meal. Yeah, it's. I'm reading that about the Baltimore legislation. It's pointless.
But yeah, it's pointless. But why in the hell do it in the first place?
That's exactly right. That's what I'm trying to get at, Rick.
Yeah.
People control.
Yeah, unless they have some epidemic of large kids or something. I mean, I still don't see how that's going to help anything. That's stupid, but.
No, I mean, think about it for just a minute, right? You go to McDonald's. McDonald's, of all places, it's the most healthiest place to eat. I mean, we all agree on that, right? You're going to go to McDonald's and you're going to buy your Happy Meal, soy, pink meat cheeseburger, whatever it is for your kid with the greasy, salty fries. But wait a minute, can't have a soda with that because that's not healthy. How hypocritical is that? Seriously.
Okay, if you're going out to eat a hamburger and French fries at in a restaurant, fast food most likely. What the hell does it matter whether you have water or a cola? You're eating a freaking hamburger with fries.
Now here's the way I would do this, right? If I was in any of these Congress or had my chance to get on the floor and rail, what I would do is I would want to amend that law to where if it's a Burger Kids meal, the only thing they can have with it is a shake. That's milk, right? Because burgers and shakes together are awesome. So that should be the law. I'll agree with that.
That I can get behind. Shakes are awesome.
Yep. Full disclosure, I haven't had a soda in about 8 years, so.
I barely.
That's your choice, and that's how it should be. It should be your choice, not the government's choice.
Night Strike. That has everything to do with us being Americans and being the freedom to choose. If we want to eat unhealthy, then we have the right to do that. There shouldn't be any law telling us that, we're going to not let your kids have Coca-Cola or, a soft drink with dinner. But yet you can have fruit juice, which is 10 times the amount of sugar in fruit. Because juice, you eat an apple, you get a limited amount of juice. You know how many apples it takes to be crushed to make a thing of fruit juice?
Like 20
hundreds. Yeah. So basically, you're just changing the sugar.
Like 20 of them.
Yeah, you're just changing the sugar, and the overall meal is not healthy to begin with. I don't believe we should ban anything. I quit smoking after 32 years. I don't like cigarettes. My wife has just quit. But I don't think we should ban them. My dad died from complications from smoking his whole life. But I still don't think we should ban them. The bottom line is freedom is free. And I don't know what the problem with the millennials are with this socialist country, this globalization of making people, big government where the people serve the government instead of the other way around. That's just not the way this country was designed from the get-go. Kind of nauseating.
It's a lot less work. It's a lot less work to fearmonger, threaten, legislate, and try to fearmonger, legislate, regulate, and threaten appropriate, correct behavior than it is to inspire and motivate people to practice that same behavior. And what all it is it's the lazy. This is the lazy man's way to try to do what's right. We all know we need to eat healthy, right? We all know that we need to teach our kids that it's okay to go to McDonald's every now and then when you have that hankering for a Big Mac, because I have that, and yeah, I'll go get one. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, I don't eat like that, and it runs the gamut with anything else you're talking about, as far as things that are healthy for you, or a civil and polite society, or morality, or whatever you're talking about. The lazy man's way is not going to work.
See, I think it's kind of different. It just, you got to look at it from the point of view of the people that are pushing this stuff. They figure they're going to have it so that they're paying for all health, all everything, and so for them it might, there might be whatever.
Well, there's always an
I can't
element
think
of
that
control.
way.
There's always an element of control and power involved when you're talking about stuff like that.
Now, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. Example, I mean, back to what Dave was saying. I mean, I quit smoking after 30-odd years of smoking. I haven't smoked for about 9 years. And yeah, I don't want to ban. If somebody wants to smoke, let them smoke. But don't complain about the price of health care, because millions and millions of dollars are spent on health care. So that's why our premiums keep going up. They got to recoup the money they're spending. How does that sound for an argument?
Oh, that's dead on. The insurance companies aren't making their $1 million bonuses every year, and that's why they went after the cigarette companies a few years back. They sued them for multi-million dollars to recover some of their money that the insurance companies had lost because of the problems that cigarette smoking incurs. Like, nobody dies from smoking cigarettes. They die from heart failure that's caused by, problems from cigarette smoking, or they die from cancer that is from cigarette smoking. Or they may die from their genes that were more susceptible to a certain virus or disease. But the bottom line is, just putting a ban on something, that's just like Clover said, that's like a lazy man's way out. It's like, hey, I don't really want to get involved in trying to educate people, because that's where the actual knowledge is. You must educate people. People are eating like garbage food nowadays. It's not because of somebody didn't ban McDonald's. It's because they weren't educated as young people to eat healthier. And they think that they can take their kid every morning and get him a Happy Meal on the way to daycare, and that's going to be okay for him. And then when the kid's 10 or 11 years old and he's obese and he starts having circulatory problems or heart problems by the time he's in his early 30s, that's what caused it.
Let me take that and run down a different road with it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How many people rely on those fast food places because, number one, they run such a busy, hectic life that either, they don't have time maybe to cook, or number two, they were never taught to cook, which falls on the parents, of course, first of all. And then second of all, potentially even schools that have pulled home economics programs. Because even guys learn to cook through home economics, because the guys are in home economics for the girls. Be honest, right?
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I took 2 years of home ec, and it was only because I couldn't get another course. But as soon as I found out there was all girls in there, I signed up for it again before the school was over for next year.
Yeah.
And you probably learned something along the way.
I learned how to sew, and I learned how to cook.
Well, that falls back on the whole public school thing, which is another chat in itself. But where they're not teaching a lot of things, they don't really teach you how to think. I think that's one of the big issues. But yeah, if parents push it on them, I've known several people that that's how they raise their kids. Is it's always fast food. And,
I just put a link in the thing. Oh, G Webs has joined us. I was just about ready to talk about you're talking about healthcare is what? How do you define it? Healthcare is massive waste and abuse because it's mandated to have it.
Oh, yeah, you had said something about when you were playing devil's advocate, I guess. You said something about healthcare is trying to save themselves money or something, and I was saying that they've got money.
Well, no, it costs the medical field millions of dollars to treat people.
Okay, so you're correct. However, they have a pile of money, and how they choose to distribute their resources is, I think, something that could be standard looked at, instead of suggesting because they don't solve the problem that's put in front of them, we need to do something different. I think that because it's a government mandated thing, there's a bunch of waste and bureaucracy built into it. So they're not being efficient. And until they're efficient, I'm not going to use their results to change my behavior.
They need to be a bit more scrutinized.
Or at least we need to pay more attention to what we're doing there. Too many people think, oh, that's not my job. I'm interested in playing my thing or doing my thing or watching somebody else play their thing or whatever, enjoying myself, which is awesome. But you guys are talking about like desserts or sugar sodas or fries or whatever as being treats. We got to do that with our attention too, right? And the stuff that we spend our time on, we can entertain ourselves 99% of the time in this country and in this point in the world, right? But how much time do we take, when you're eating right, you got to eat some broccoli once in a while. It doesn't taste good, or a Brussels sprout or something gross, right? How often do you take time out of your life to spend hours working on stuff like this? That's just awful, filthy, disgusting work with no reward, except for the bigger picture. So we all are guilty, and I'm not shaming nobody. I don't do it either, right? So I'm just saying, let's not just keep posting the blame on somebody else when, you guys are talking about fast food and McDonald's and stuff, and I'm definitely, me, I'm not big state or big government or nothing like that. But imagine the kids that aren't being walked to school by their parents, but are simply let loose after school like I was. If there would have been a McDonald's next to my school, guess what I would have been doing every single day after school? Hanging out at the McDonald's with everybody, right? I didn't have one next to my school, but I'll bet you in cities they do. I'll bet you in more urban areas, and I don't mean urban like any kind of neighborhood. I just mean once the houses are squished together and the stores are right there next to it. Where I lived, there was big fields and big highways and stuff between stuff, so I couldn't physically walk to the thing across the highway by myself. But if there aren't no big highways and you're just in a metropolitan area, maybe I should say that because it has less connotation. If you're in just a densely populated area and there's a McDonald's on your way to school, little kids stopping by is all the stuff they're going to get in high school that's logical and smart. Is that going to help them when they're 6 and they can have the free will to walk into a McDonald's and order a Happy Meal? And does that person at the register have any obligation? How do they know it's not that kid's birthday and this is the one time a year? He saved up his paper route money and he's allowed to go buy his own Happy Meal. Are they supposed to deny him because he doesn't have parents with him? What if they see that kid every day? I don't know. Do they have an obligation to care about another human being who's killing themselves, like Rick said? I think there's a lot to this. I think it's a great topic.
Yeah, it is. Anybody else got anything to say?
Well, I seen a kid denied yesterday in Walmart at the deli counter because his parents wasn't there. Just saying. They did. I was getting my order, and they have the hot food, so I was getting like the whatever they are, the popcorn chicken, and then some potato wedges, right?
Yeah.
And he walked up and he wanted some, I forgot, a corn dog, or I forgot what he asked for. And she was like, "Oh no, you got to bring a parent."
Yeah. Now, real quick before we carry on, I want to do I forgot to do the mail-in quiz from last week. It was a bunch of stickers and these two scarves. Let me do I got everything in my handy dandy, here. My automatic.
While you're looking that up, can I throw one other thing out there? You guys when I first started listening, you were talking about milk and juice. I think somebody already brought it up, but juice has as much sugar as soda, and milk is a fluid designed to turn a mammal from like hundreds of pounds to many hundreds of pounds, right? 1,000 pounds. I don't know how big a cow gets. So it's definitely full of stuff that makes you fat. It's literally designed to do that. So to suggest that milk and juice are healthier than anything besides, well, anything, is crazy. I think it's just more corporate food influence and money going back and forth with whoever has the say on what gets put on those menus. Because I'm not saying soda's healthy, but those two options are certainly not, and there are other options out there for sure.
Yeah, it was a bill that was introduced in California. That's where I got it from. Anyway,
if you pay attention to the dairy industry, the dairy industry is shrinking. So I suspect if they got any money and influence, they're going to be trying to do everything they can to get into a government mandated situation.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, the winner, General Relativity, is the winner of that prize. So I don't know if I just send me your mailing address and I'll get it out to you. Now they're more like all be going out this coming weekend, as you can see behind me. There's the prizes from the last week or two. I haven't got them out yet, to be honest with you. I figured if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it. If I'm going to spend big money, I might as well do it all at one time.
Oh, I just figured those were boxes because you're moving.
No, not those. Those are those free boxes you told me about to get from
right.
Oh, I got boxes in the other room. I've already got 3 boxes packed already. So I'm doing a couple of. I only done one last night. I'll do a couple more later on this afternoon.
Hey,
tomorrow will be the big push.
What about combining those two things and go to the post office, order all the boxes you need for free, and then just pack and moving in shipping boxes?
That's not a bad idea. But I got a bunch of meat boxes because where I used to work, I got the meat boxes, and they're big and sturdy, and they got handles on them, where I can lift them.
Is there a place you can get produce boxes? Those are good ones too, especially banana boxes.
Oh yeah, I can get those. I can get those too. So there we go. Okay.
Banana boxes are monkey proof.
Yeah, well, the only problem with banana boxes, they're great, but you got to put something on the bottom because it has a big. It's not a sealed bottom on a banana box.
Yeah, it depends on. Yeah, it's got that little slot in it,
yeah.
So it kind of depends on what you're putting in it. As long as you're putting big stuff in it, you're okay.
Oh yeah. So see, you can tell we moved a lot. I know all about boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I said that's the part I hate about moving, is the actual packing. I don't mind the actual driving, getting there, and everything else. I've done it all my life. Being a military brat, then working for the government. I mean, even here, I've worked it out. I lived up here almost 20 years now. And because, almost 20 years now. And I've moved 7 times. So moving is not a problem. It's just the packing I detest so much. I've even got a few boxes in a cupboard in my bedroom that were there from my last move. I ain't even unpacked them yet. So that tells me, what it tells me is I don't need the shit if I haven't unpacked it, But
next time, just put all your boxes on shelves and just don't bother unpacking. Just live on boxes and you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, also, why I got everybody here, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I got a GoFundMe page to help me move. As I explained, I hope to be out of here by the 1st of October, but I might have to delay it a week or two. It's all got to do with when the Social Security disability check arrives, to be quite honest with everybody. So, and plus, it's just to give me a little push, really. So and the link's down below. If anybody's interested, there it is. I've said it. So, and if you actually go to the page, the actual main picture, there's an ugly picture of me on there, but the main picture is actually of the town I'm moving to in Indiana. I took it off of Planet Earth or Google Earth or whatever. So there you go. Okay, next question. Next thing I got here, which I think this. Oh, since we're going down rabbit holes, here's one. I had this discussion on Wednesday with Sean, and he told me his answer, and I understood it, but I don't agree with it. Is actors and sports personalities, right? what in the hell gives them the right to spout off their opinion on political science? You know, you're paid to play sport. Just play the sport. You know, they're using their good example. That basketball player, was it LeBron James?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's tweeting all kinds of political bullshit out there. I don't care what you think. Just play basketball. That's what you're paid for. Yeah. Or am I wrong?
Well, you don't care what he thinks because you're not a follower or a fan or a whatever, right? But right. You know, take that in terms whether you're talking about actors or musicians or athletes or YouTubers, you know, whatever it might be, and you know, they get big, they get a fan base, they get a following. A large percentage of them worship them for their contribution to whatever that might be, whether it's Hollywood or a sport, you know, movies, TV, sports, music, whatever. They basically worship them for that, and then the whole idea of being a person, whether they're a good person or a horrible person, falls deaf on those followers and those fans. So they have a large amount of influence over a lot of uneducated people. And I think that's where the gall, I guess would be the word, to start espousing their political beliefs and all kinds of other things. I mean, they've got a platform there. And sure, it's not a platform for that particular subject, but it's a platform nonetheless. And the vast majority of those people, unfortunately, like I said, they see them as idols and they'll eat it up.
But when they're playing a game, when they're playing a game, like whether it be football, basketball, baseball, okay, when you're playing a game, you were hired to play the damn game, not to give people your political leanings, not to tell people what you think.
Well,
you're hired to do a job, and you either do the job or you don't.
And that's great, but let's go down that road because it's athlete. Okay, same way. The owner of the team hires that athlete. They hire that athlete to play the game. The athlete starts a big controversy because they kneel or they don't come out of the locker room or they talk about some political thing or whatever, and it's a big controversy. And now the team's getting publicity, and any publicity is good publicity, and all of this other nonsense. Same way with Hollywood, and the actor says this, and the next thing you know, well, not only that, you got to look depending on the political positions they take, be it right or left, because I'm not even saying that it's not good either way, in my opinion. So it can be either right leaning or left leaning. But look at Hollywood and then look at movies and music. And then when they take those positions, then you have people in power on that side, the right or left, and then they start getting more recognition from them. It legitimizes their place within that community, so to speak. So it's a really weird dynamic. Now, from the sports standpoint, if the owner was not seeing some type of benefit from it, or if he either was indifferent, or B, wasn't, I should say, indifferent or aligning with what they're saying, then he would get rid of them.
How about this? There's also the question, what if you have a NASCAR driver and he likes firearms and he talks about firearms and leave my stuff alone and XYZ? Is that not the same thing?
It is the same thing.
You know, so, you know, a lot of NASCAR guys.
That's why I said this is not a leftist only issue. When we go down this road, we have to be fair.
Yes.
The inherent problem that I see is what Rick says. When Rick said, I don't care what he says. I don't either, because that's not why I'm watching him, you know. Even if I am a sports fan, that's not why I'm watching him, so I could care two flips about his political beliefs. And it's the same way with him. It's the same way I can sit down and watch a movie with Matt Damon. I'm not watching that because of his political beliefs. I care less. Now, I'm not going to go to the theater probably and watch it, but I don't go to the theater anyway. So I'm not saying that I boycott Matt Damon movies. I just don't go very often to the theater.
Yeah, you're right, because I mean, that's why I like having you in the chats, because I come out with this stuff. A lot of times I let my I'll let my ass overload my mouth before my brain's in gear. Like you just said, I mean, if LeBron James was a conservative or Republican, would I be so upset about it? Him spouting off his political beliefs? More than likely not. So you got a good point there. And also, I understand what Sean was trying to tell me. If you think about as a person, he went through high school playing basketball. He skipped college, went straight to the NBA, and he is one of the best basketball players of all time now. So he's somebody that young kids can look up to. Well, if he can do it, I can do it.
But that's dangerous because the odds of that happening or like getting hit by lightning, I don't know, 376,000 times in a row.
But that's what they try to the American dream, isn't it?
And that's why I said and for a long time it's been that way. It's been that way. Oh, good Lord, it's been that way, I'm sure, for thousands of years. And it's just a part of human nature to idolize people and to really look up to people. And even if you aspire to be said person or something like that. And the problem is, at the end of the day, you got to break it down to the simple fact that they're a person. So, how did they get to that point? And then what can I do to better my odds to get to that point if I want to be in a similar position, situation, career, sport, whatever it might be, right?
It's okay to aspire to be to be as good or to succeed, not to map yourself out just like somebody, but if somebody motivates you, I have no issue with being motivated. For sure.
But a lot of people look at the end result. They look
because they're not trained properly.
This high and mighty, whatever, 4-time Super Bowl winner or, whatever it might be. And like I said, they don't look that he's a nasty, vile person. They don't look that, and I'm not picking on any particular athlete or individual, but I'm just saying they don't look at the person, first of all. They're looking at the celebrity, right? And so they don't see the vile person, and they don't see all the vile things he's done and the various things he's done to get to the point that he's at. So are you willing? I see that you admire that and you aspire for that, but are you willing to crawl over dead bodies to get there, so to speak?
Yeah. I blame it on the parents anyway.
Children, Patriot, why are our children today looking at these people as our heroes? That's bullshit. When I was growing up, my father was my fucking hero. And sorry about the language. I'm not wanting any of my children to look at a basketball player, baseball player, football player, or a NASCAR driver and look to say, oh, that's the guy I want to be like. No. Exactly. You want to be like your grandfather. You want to be like me when I was serving my country. You want to be respectable. You want to take care of your family, and you want to educate yourself. You don't want to be like these idiots that get paid a couple $1 million, and as soon as they blow out their knee, they're beating the hell out of their wife or killing somebody.
See, I blame it on that.
I'm not down for calling these people heroes. They're jokes.
And what you're getting at, I think, David, with that is it's the person that you're looking up to. It's not what that person that you're looking up to is. That could be a sheriff, a longtime sheriff of your county that is an excellent, upstanding individual in the community, right? That could be a business owner in the community that's been there for years, treats people right, whatever. There's lots of great people to look up to.
I blame it on the parents. First of all,
ultimately.
I blame it on the parents because you get a lot of. I'm not trying to broad stroke this thing or whatever, but you get parents that are you got to play ball, you got to do this, you're playing because you're going to make it, and they're pushing little kids, and then they get bigger, and then you're pushing the bigger kid. So you see a lot of that too. Oh, see, he can do it, you can do it, and they just push them, and then they rock out of school, and then they're
then they go into their athletic career and they get hurt and they have nothing to fall back on.
Oh yeah.
So they end up owning like a car wash if they're lucky.
Well, and I see this too with kids. Kids and parents. I see kids and parents or parents that push their kids because they're living vicariously through them because they were the nerd in school, and then now their kid, because that parent worked their butt off and they have a little higher socioeconomic status or whatever. Now their kid is on the football team and they do fairly well, and then they push and push it and push it and push it, and then it's not necessarily even the kid at the end of the day, the kid wanting to do it, and that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible.
The kid's just doing it because his father wants him to in the end.
And that holds true for a lot of things, not just, I know we keep coming around and we keep picking on the sports thing, but I know people that have pushed that with, you know, any career you can imagine, from being a veterinarian to whatever. Yeah.
I remember actually it was a couple of weeks ago when you were interviewing one of those girl shooters on one of your chats. You touched on that slightly about her. How does it, you know, I mean, could parents even push those young kids into shooting sports that they don't want to be in?
Everyone we've talked to, everyone, you absolutely can, and I see it happen all the time. You know, the ones that we're talking about that are competitive, the ones that we've talked to, and most of the ones I see that are competitive on a regular basis, they have, because they're competitive, the kid actually has the wheel and the drive, so that's not the case.
Yeah, which is good, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
really. Yeah,
because eventually the parents are going to get tired of paying for it if the kid is not, you know, wanting to do it, and if they're not wanting to do it, they're not going to do well. So eventually the parents are going to get tired of traveling every weekend and spending all the money and everything else. Hey,
Clover, I got a question. You say, I know you do the 4-H's and you spend a lot of time with young people. Basically, what I had a question on is when you are dealing with these kids and you're trying to get them to, you know, aspire into whether they're shooting at bow and arrow or a rifle, whatever. These kids, when they seem to be that you're teaching, what I'm getting at is I know they may come from single mom, single dad homes, but it seems like you're dealing with a more educated family unit. Seems, is that correct?
Not always. No, not always.
Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you try to reach out to those that live, I don't want to say inner city, because around here we really don't have inner city, but for lack of a better term, inner city, that live in the apartments and live in town, and they really don't have access to outdoor type activities. Split families, you know, broken families, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, as far as the educational level and socioeconomic level that I've dealt with, it pretty much runs the gamut.
Okay.
Now that does hinder when you get talking about socioeconomic issues. That hinders. I mean, they can't afford to travel and go to competitions every weekend and stuff like that. So sometimes you see kids that have awesome potential, and it's sad because I can't afford to pay their way, right? And whatever. And that sucks.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading what I was just reading in the chat. Sorry that in the chat we have. Nice Strike said, "Be right back," and G Webs told him I ain't paying him to make a sandwich. Right. I think that's funny.
All right, so you guys are talking about sports. I can't stand sports. Professional sports are run by betting. These are team sports. Have you ever heard anybody talk about the team other than fantasy football shit? These are individuals idolized for their athletics. It's a pointless thing. They're not focusing on the parts of it that are beneficial. So I got your points about influencers and blah, blah, blah. Are valid, but I don't agree. I think that there's too many people just allow that to happen and don't take a deliberate look at it. But I think that it's worse than just a casual thing. I think that by everyone participating in the way that they do, look at how, have you ever looked at how much money professional sports make? I don't like to look at it because it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Just one of the professional sports. Remember, these are government sanctioned monopolies. Just one of these sports makes tremendous amount of money, and of course, I don't know if those numbers even take into account the amount of taxpayer money that's spent to woo them. and to keep them around and whatnot. All of this, again, to focus on individuals, which, again, is all run by betting. So to suggest, and, you know, and of course, the people making the clothes and everything, I mean, it's a great industry, but it's not like those people would go out of business. They would move to other things. So I like to think that the internet's going to end up allowing people to have more interest in the established big professional sports. I suspect are going to drop. I hope that they're going to drop the same way that Hollywood and the other things are going to drop when people have options. I think that athletics for kids is great. Keeps them healthy, gives them lets them be part of a team. Hopefully the stuff that they're taught is the teamwork part of it and the accomplishment of working together, and then participating in either winning or not, because there's lots of value in learning not to, how to not win or what happens when you don't win. But I think once you start getting into that professional level stuff, that's the fans. I don't blame the family. I don't blame the kids. I don't blame anybody but the fans. Those are the ones that are keeping it going every time you, casually spend money on keeping that stuff going. I think it's something that if people put scrutiny to, they'd see that it's not beneficial to the country, and we could focus on some of that cash on some of the things that we were talking about earlier: healthcare, diet, food.
You got a good point there. Also, I mean, talking about that, you're right. Not only get money that way, but the taxpayer. A good example. I mean, I'm going back 20 years now. When I first moved to Atlanta, in Georgia, when they had the Olympics, was it '96? They built that brand Olympic Stadium, and to keep the Atlanta Braves there, they let them have they gave them Turner Field. They gave it to them, but the taxpayers paid for it to begin with. Then now they've moved. They only been there for 20 years. Now they moved to a brand new field out on the outskirts of town. And that town where they moved to paid $17 million to have them there. A taxpayer money.
Is there any sports team that's ever paid for their place except for Little?
The guys here in Tampa, in St. Pete, they did their baseball team, the Rays.
Yeah.
They've been here for quite some time. They've grown an entire community that goes to the games and all that. I'd never seen a baseball game here in St. Petersburg, but apparently Tampa just offered them a huge deal on a brand new arena, and now they just turned up and turned us high and dry. And there's literally hundreds of people that work and have jobs that rely on the Rays being here as their spring deal, so they can work in the gaming industry, like the ballpark, and from selling hot dogs to T-shirts, what have you. And basically, we've just lost all of that because they got offered a better deal, and yet we were stuck holding the bag, and our mayor was going to have us all shell out millions of dollars to build a new arena. And then they just decided to go on the bigger place because, Tampa's bigger and they're building them a better arena. So they just, they've been here for many years, and now they're just like, well, screw you. We're going over here now where the grass is greener.
Yeah. Oh, Vanessa Kitty said, did you know what Texas did to build that new Dallas Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas? Check out the families they took their land from. So did they? I didn't know. I mean, did they do that? Did they take land?
Eminent domain.
Yeah. Now, see, that's wrong to build a goddamn football stadium just to keep a team there. But anyway, we're going on. And actually, my time is up, guys. The hour is up. And I still have stuff on my list. My God. We only got through the first 3 topics. So that was a good
show. Go longer, Rick. We could go longer.
We could. I can go for a little bit longer. All right, my next topic. I'll do the next topic and see how it goes from there.
What about, I've heard that if you go too long, then it'll overload the servers over at guntube.org.
Well, no, it won't. It'll be fine.
But, okay, next one is, I'm hoping more states would do what Louisiana has done to Citibank and Bank of America. They won't let them. There's a $600 $600 million bond to build highways or something, and Citibank and Bank of America wanted to put the money up for it, and they said no, because we don't. The state attorney general, I think it was, said no, because we don't believe the way you're treating Second Amendment people, companies and such. Now on a big picture, on a nationwide scheme, $600 million to those two banks is not a lot of money. But if other states would follow suit, then it would hurt them. So I think it's a good thing. So what do you guys think?
Rick, my wife is a bank manager at a Wells Fargo here in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely disgusting what these financial institutions are doing. We are law-abiding citizens. We have business licenses. We have FFLs. And we comply with all state and federal regulations. And now they're telling us that we're kind of scum of the earth and we don't deserve the ability to have a point of sale system, or we have to deal in cash only because they don't want to do it. The Wells Fargo has made a stand. They've said basically, if it is legal under the Constitution, state and federal law, we will not restrict anything, any type of business. It goes back to their heritage of being back when Wells Fargo used to transport gold and money in a stagecoach. I mean, it's part of their logo is a guy sitting on a stagecoach with a stage gun, a double barrel 10 gauge. It's part of their being as a company. And Wells Fargo has the most banks in the entire United States. Not any bank institutions added together even has the amount of branches that Wells Fargo has.
Yeah, but and that's great that they will do that. But what's saying is more people need more states need to stand up to these big banks. Then
exactly,
and I'm hoping others now that they see Louisiana's done it, maybe some other states will do it because that's what it's going to take, I think.
Yeah. Louisiana is a really good state. Their governor is very strong on the Second Amendment. Same with Georgia. And, Georgia, you covered the topic on Georgia with Delta Airlines. With the NRA, they were cutting out their discount. The governor of Georgia was going to give them Delta Airlines a multi-million-dollar tax break. And because Delta said we are no longer honoring the NRA discount for our flights, the Georgia governor said, nope, then you're not getting your damn discount. So they ended up losing hundreds of millions of dollars over that deal. So hopefully people start doing this.
Oh, yeah, that's what they need to do. I mean, because really, the states have got to do it, at the state government level, because we don't really want the federal government getting involved.
Exactly. They're already in enough crap.
Yeah. I mean, we want less government, not more government,
Exactly.
There we go. All right. I'm going to call it quits on there because night strike bell on us.
Well,
Clover had to go to a birthday party.
Don't forget about your trivia.
My what?
Oh, you weren't going to do a trivia this week.
Oh, yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm glad you remember that. For the Ozark Trail camo clip knife, the question, it's an email question. Email me at rickslife@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Now, this is a real easy question, I think, if you're a Luke Cage fan. I think it was in season 1. What gun, don't want to scare people off. What firearm was it that young Cornell used? And then later I think it was towards the end of the season, his sister Mariah Dillard used. and I think it showed up in the first 1 or 2 episodes of season 2. I want the name, the model, and the model of that gun. You know what model it was and what it actually was, like a 3-inch barrel 45 or something like that. You know, so that's what I'm looking for. So you guys got it?
Sounds good.
What? Luke Cage. You know, wasn't that the name of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he was a man who was invincible. You could shoot him and bullets bounce off him. Yeah, so that's the question. I mean, I found the question by asking Google what gun did they use, and the whole list of them came up, and I found the one I was looking for. So
Google uses a rubber band gun.
You know, there you go. So basically, what firearm or gun did Cornell use and his sister Mariah Dillon use in the series on Luke Cage? Actually, when I actually put in what firearm was used, you'd be amazed how many firearms they used in that show. It was unbelievable. So anyway, there we go. I'm going to call it quits. I want to thank all of you for showing up. Don't forget my GoFundMe page. You can find it on. I got it. I'll put it on my in my YouTube stuff, but it's definitely on Gun Channels. The link to it. I mean, if you go to GoFundMe and type in "move to a free state," I think it will show up. So anyway, but if you can't find it, just send me an email or a message, and I'll send you the link. So, hang on, maybe I can find the link now, and I'll put it in the chat. Hang on, let me see if I can find it.
Hashtag relocate Rick.
I think. Hang on, let me come back now. Let me come back over here. Put it on YouTube. I believe that's the link. Right? If you type that in or copy it and paste it. So I don't think I got it on YouTube yet. So it's to help me move to Indiana. And I think Vanessa asked me about gun permits there. Getting a gun permit in Indiana is I will be able to get one. It's a very gun-friendly state. Plus, and technically until I know I'm going to be a resident, but to me, I don't call myself a resident until I have a license and all that from Indiana. My car's been changed. So for me, for at least the first month, Indiana, I believe, recognizes my Rhode Island license. But if they don't, they recognize Florida and they recognize a whole bunch of others. Don't forget, I got 7 permits. I know one of them is going to be covered in Indiana.
Do you know what the requirement is once you get there? How long you have to be there in order to change your license as well as get your CCW?
Oh, I don't know how long I got to be a resident for, but getting one's easy. You just go to your local police police department, get a form, fill it out, send it in, and that's it. There's no test requirement from what I can understand. You know, so there we go. And the reason I'm moving basically is
ready for your 8th CCW, Rick. The initial fee for a lifetime license in Indiana is $50 for the local side and $75 for the state. So for $125,
wow, that's awesome.
Lifetime CCW for Indiana. It'll be your 8th CCW credential. I suggest you do a CCW of the week, and you talk about on your shows maybe each week or every other week for an 8-week stint what it was like to qualify and how much of a hassle or why you needed to get it. But that gives you 8 weeks worth of segment.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Vanessa Kitty
I'm writing it down.
How many people?
Vanessa Kitty says you also have to report to Rhode Island that you changed your address as well.
Oh, good point. For their Rhode Island CCW, yeah.
Other states may have that requirement as well.
Some of them do.
Yeah. Well, yes, I think all of them. I got to notified that I've changed it, that I've moved for change of address. And I got to check. Some states charge you for changing address. You know, if you moved to a different state and you want to change your address, or even if you moved within state for a new address, they charge you a nominal fee, $10 or $15 to print you a new card.
Yeah, and to pay for the person's time to do it.
What was that?
Just to pay for the staff person's time to do it too.
Oh yeah. You know, so but I mean, there's more unless they changed the law, which they said they were going to. They haven't yet. The only one I might let go of is my Massachusetts license because that costs me $100 a year.
I just think it's cool to have 8 CCW credentials. I don't know what to do with them other than to just brag about them or to talk about them.
That's it.
I agree with G-Webs.
Hold them up as
it is.
I want to say hold them up as a cross, but hold them up as like, you know, to show the type of burden you had to deal with to be just exercise your rights in Rhode Island.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it, but
I never thought about that. Think how big its fucking wallet is.
I got this wallet here, and it's just nothing. It's full of CCW. See them? So when someone says, "Let's see your license," I just flip it out and say, "Which one?" You know,
that would be hilarious. A cop asks you for your permit, and you bring out like 8 of them.
Yeah, say,
that's freaking awesome.
Would you like to go through them alphabetically or by population of the state, or like what order I received them?
Oh, I got these in order of.
This is why he has back issues,
I mean,
like George Costanza.
My first one I got here is Rhode Island. Then I got Massachusetts. Then I got Connecticut. Then state of Maine. So that's my New England ones. Then I move.
Do you have the?
Then I move into Virginia. Then I got Florida and Utah. Then now I'll have Indiana on there.
Dude, you got to get in Arizona just for the hell of it, because you can get in the state of Arizona $35.
Oh hell! And they do non-residents.
Yeah, non-resident out of state. The only issue is that the person who teaches it to you, I think, has to come to Arizona to learn it, so they might charge a bit of a premium because of that. But I'll bet you with you tell them that you're going to feature their class on a channel with 167,000 subs, and you might get that class for nothing. Or else we'll just keep going until you find your class for nothing.
But you have to physically do that class in Arizona?
No, sorry. No. Arizona, I believe, requires instructors who are going to provide out-of-state, non-resident out-of-state credentials. They require that the instructor get their instruction in Arizona. I don't know why, but I think that's the qualification. So it's a little tougher to get a non-resident out-of-state Arizona, only because it's that burden on the instructor. So few instructors go through the burden because there's no real need. Florida and Utah are so inclusive and so much more effortless for the instructors that you wouldn't really need in Arizona. If I remember right, Arizona gives you like, I don't know, Minnesota or some state. There's like one state that doesn't quite overlap, or at least used to. So that, and sometimes like Nevada will flip flop. Nevada changes their reciprocity all the time. So sometimes if you get, Utah and Arizona, you're kind of locked into Nevada because they've never not recognized both of us. They've gone back and forth, but they've always recognized one or the other. So anyway, I guess if you go to Vegas, maybe there's a point to having an Arizona one. But anyway, it's not necessarily the most useful one. So few instructors bother to do it out of state. But if we can find one in Indiana, like I say, we'll feature it on the Gun Websites channel. That'll be your 9th CCW. I would think that would be enough attention given to the instructor or to the school that they would offer you a class for nothing. It's not like you are burden or anything.
Hey Rick, do you keep those in a photo, like your family photos, where it folds out of your wallet?
You had like a big booklet, like what a trucker might have for all their different things.
Yeah, I got them in a wallet here, and they're in the
plastic. Looks like a photo album, yeah.
Yeah, and I just flip the pages.
Oh, I thought it would be cool to have one of the wallets. You open it up and it just folds all the way down to halfway to the floor.
You're right. I was thinking about that too. For just like goes all the way to the floor. Say which license do you want? Yeah, yeah. I got to get one of those actually. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. So I'm going to call it quits, and I want to thank everybody for showing up. Don't forget to, I was talking about my GoFundMe. I told everybody about that, right? Don't forget to give me the thumbs up, because I understand the more thumbs up you get, higher up on YouTube's sort of like thing they come out with.
Al Gore's rhythm.
Yes.
Al Gore's rhythm, yeah.
So there we go. I'm going to call it quits. So I want to say thank you all for being here. And I'll be back on Wednesday with Shooting with Disabilities. So long. Thanks.